Welcome back to Open Spaces. We are so glad that you're back with us. This is awesome that it's just Jourdan and I. We're gonna have a great conversation today.
The OGs.
The OGs of Open Spaces.
It's probably too soon to say that, but
yeah,
it is
it's
true.
Like the OG of OS.
What?
P.
Oh yeah.
Anyways,
man.
we last week we didn't release one because we were on Sadie's
Robertson
podcast.
Huff?
I mean, yeah, like, whoa, that's good. That's her
Yeah.
podcast. And so we got to be with Sadie and her husband, Christian, who we are friends with, who we've got to know through Passion and for years. And like just some of the greatest humans that
Yes.
I love so much.
We had an awesome time with them.
How much do I love Sadie?
You love her so much. And one of the funny things is that it's not funny that you want her to be around our daughter Aiden, because that makes sense, because she's an amazing
I want her to be the role model. Yes.
She is an incredible role model. But what's funny to me is that the way that you think that should happen is by her babysitting Aiden.
Sadie doesn't have a lot going on. She could come babysit.
Surely you could fly in from West Monroe.
I think I really won her over when I asked her that time.
Yeah, I think that's going to work.
Oh, we had a great time in Monroe. Honestly, I loved our time there.
Yes, you did. You loved the slow pace.
Oh my gosh, we're just parents. You get it. We're in the overwhelming season of life, and everything's moving fast. So we got to Monroe. We had a night at a hotel, just us two, and it was an amazing hotel. I loved Hotel Monroe. Shout out. But I loved being there, and I loved getting to just hang out with you. And it was great. And then we got to go in the next day and hang with Sadie and Christian, and I just love what they're doing. I love their heart. I love that they fear God, not man. Mm-hmm. I love so many things about them.
Yeah, we were very encouraged by our time with them.
And just so honored that they invited us onto their platform.
Yeah.
That was a big deal. So we're really, really grateful.
Yes.
We're still in the parenting series.
Yeah, this has been awesome. I feel I have gleaned so much from from the conversations that we've gotten to have so far, and hope that you guys have too. We really, and I think, if you're just kind of tuning in the midst of it all, there's something for everybody in this parenting series, whether you're a parent or not. Honestly, there's a lot of things that have been convicting. I mean, I think Tony Collier's episode was so convicting, even around forgiveness and healing, and there was just a lot of beauty in that, and her restoration process.
Next week, Lori Krieg, we recorded with Lori Krieg, and if you don't know her, you're going to learn all about her.
Yes.
But next week we are releasing that one, and she's written a book that Jourdan and I have been journeying through about raising kids in a sexually broken world.
That's right. Raising wise kids in a sexually broken world.
Yeah. So it's just been really helpful for us. And that's not just same-sex attraction. That's pornography. That's literally kind of the brokenness of the world.
Sexual identity, sexuality.
Yeah. And just kind of helping kids navigate, which is going to be so great next week when we get to release that. She had so many wise things to say. I was like, we need to cut this off, but I just want to keep asking your questions.
That's right.
So that's where we are. That's where we're journeying. We're still... Oh, also, I just want to say, then we're releasing your dad's.
Yes.
The week of Father's Day, we have one coming with Jordan's dad that he came and sat with us, and we got to ask him all these questions about what was it like for you as a father-in-law, accepting me and learning my story.
That's right.
And he's 70-year-old man that is always working on himself, which I just highly respect him. We sit with him, and that he surprised us in a lot of things that he said.
Yeah.
And that's coming too. Lots of great things. But today, what are we talking about?
Today, we are going to be talking about what it was like when we told our kids our story. And just for context, right now, our kids are 12, 10, and 6. And we have told the 12-year-old and the 12-year-old and the 10-year-old. So our oldest,
skip the 10-year-old. We thought it would be best
She's not
just
ready.
to tell the 12 and 6-year-old, the boys, and the girl in the middle, we're waiting.
So we've told Case and Aiden.
That's a joke. But.
Yeah, our oldest two. We've told them our story, and so we wanted to. We've gotten questions about that, about if we, whether or not we've told them, and we've gotten questions about what ages are appropriate to start talking about your broken past. So we're just going to share our experience today and hope that might help somebody out there, and just kind of share with you where we are on the journey, because we are on this continuous journey with them, and the conversation has begun and will continue. But why don't you?
Well, let's just start with like parents. You understand if you have something big in your past or something that you, before you were married, or, you know, betrayal or whatever the thing is that you're carrying into your marriage, and then you have kids, it's one of the hardest things to process, like how you actually tell your kids these things.
Yeah.
You know, like that's just humanity. That's hard to tell your kid whatever the thing is that you feel like you disappoint them with, or they see you in one way and then you tell them and it changes things.
Right.
And so this is very relatable, I think, to a lot of parents.
Regardless of your past.
Regardless
what
of
it
your
is,
past.
yeah.
So, you know, for me, that was something that I want you to speak to it too, but like I carried a lot of that, of just like when it actually changed, of like, oh, now I'm trusting God, and now I'm in a marriage, and now we're going to have kids. And I was so excited about having kids. But it was just such a mental flip for me of like, okay, now I'm married, now I'm having kids, and then trying to catch up to, and now I have this huge thing in my past. What's that going to look like when because I knew the relationship that I wanted with my kids was one of, I mean, what we always say, we really love vulnerability and authenticity.
Right.
And so that was going to carry into our marriage and our family and our values and our core values. And so as I did, I knew that one day this would come. So it was just something that I always was like, how will that happen? How will that go down where we tell our kids? And so that was like for me, but for you, were you carrying anything into this? Like with just like how you wanted to?
I just wanted, I don't know if I had a framework that I expected, but I knew that we would talk to them. I knew that we would aim for openness, and that, you know, I could kind of see this future for us where we're just like having normal conversation with our kids about our lives and our struggles and that kind of stuff. But when it really came down to how we would do the conversation, I just had no idea how that would actually go, or, you know, at what point will they be ready? And I think you and I both felt like we didn't want to wait too long to where they were like totally jolted by it and felt like, wait, why are you just now telling me this?
Yes.
You know? So that was, I think we both were on the same page with that.
Where we wanted to normalize it.
Yeah.
We didn't want, one thing that we had talked about before we shared it all was that we just didn't want our kids being surprised. I mean, and everyone's different. So we're not, let me say this first. We're not saying like, this is the way you have to do it, or like, this is just for us, what has worked for us and how we have processed together. But it was something that we definitely wanted to, our kids not to be surprised by mom and dad kept this secret from us.
Yeah.
So there was the balance. It's like, you don't want them to like, be like, wow, you kept the secret and you told me when I'm 20, and my whole view of you like changes. And like, now I'm like, wait, what? Like, that was not something we wanted. We wanted to bring them in and almost just kind of for same-sex attraction and my struggle, I just wanted to kind of like normalize it within my family too. Of like, this is something I struggle with and I still struggle with, but like,
this is one struggle among
I'm
many.
Trusting God with this. So like, what are you going to trust God with? The thing that the enemy kind of distracts you with and pulls your eyes away from Jesus, and how do you get it back, your eyes back on him? And like trying to normalize that in a way that we're kind of setting the way for the future for them.
Yeah.
So that was like that was a big piece of us talking through it, normalizing it, and not wanting a aha moment, but later in life, because it still is an aha moment. But, but that was a big deal. I
think so. To set up the story, I think what has been cool is in our family, because we value vulnerability and authenticity and openness. We have like a culture of that in our family. So you have done a great job of
say more.
You've done a great job of setting up our family to have conversations and to get to know each other. So I think that's part of the reason that this conversation happened the way it did, because of what was just already normal in our family culture. So what I mean by that is you have taught the kids, I mean, you really have been kind of leading the charge on this. from when you first started taking Case to lunches, just the two of you. I mean, and he was, you've been doing this since they were little babies.
That's our firstborn. He's 12.
And you started teaching him how to have a conversation very early. Mm-hmm. And so you're modeling that and like, okay, I'm going to ask you a question. And then you ask me a question, and you started modeling that truly as early as y'all could have conversation. Mm-hmm. And, it's, of course, in toddler years, it's like, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite ice cream flavor?
What's your favorite place you've ever been?
Totally. And you just kind of go back and forth like that. But as a result of those kind of beginnings, our conversations with them have gotten more rich, and they, I will say, all three of our kids, honestly, will ask questions now. Like when you get home from work, they'll ask, "How was your day? How was
your favorite part of the day?"
Yeah. How is this meeting? Like if they know what was happening, they know about our podcast. How is the podcast recording today? Like they're engaging, and I think that that's because of so much of the work that you've done already to just like teach them how to talk, teach them how to ask questions. And that's, so we see the fruit of that.
And we know the humans we want them to be, and we want them to be conversational, talk to people, engage with adults.
To be interested in others.
To be interested in others. We teach them, people feel cared for when you ask them questions. Yeah. And so it has been like, but it's interesting because like, you don't think about that. And then as a parent, you're like, they have to be taught everything.
Totally.
Or they just are gonna, yes, they're watching and observing and they're gonna emulate whatever you do.
Right.
But you have to really teach them what you want them to become.
Yeah.
And that was a big reason why I did that. And why we have continued to play the question game is what we call it. And we do like typically like 20 questions going back and forth. Even now, my 12-year-old son, we go to coffee on Friday mornings, just him and I, and we do this, back and forth with our sitting and having coffee. I mean, he has decaf, just so you know. But it's,
he just wants to play Wordle with me in our coffees. But he does ask good questions.
He asks you great questions.
Yeah, he does. So that's the framework in the culture.
Great questions even now at 12. Like the
Absolutely.
other day, I was like so shocked. I forget what the questions he was asking me. I came home and told you.
Yeah.
I was like, what in the world? Do you remember any of those? There was like really good questions.
Yeah, I don't remember in this moment, but okay. Yeah.
Anyway, that's kind of like the basis of our family, like kind of like what we were shooting for, hoping for. And then I also want to say like through, so now getting closer to when we actually told them, getting closer into that, like I had gone and done like a week-long counseling. We both did. We both went on separate times, and preparing to launch Open Spaces was a lot. Mm-hmm. And it was just like a lot of self-work and a lot of like, we knew what we were opening our family and life up to and what the enemy hates when you bring things into the light. And so we were really doing a lot of work, and I had gone away for a week-long counseling. And during that time, I had like a very clear vision of the Lord showing me our family, like a clear vision moment that is still to come, where you and I are sharing on a stage and leading worship together, sharing our story and leading worship. And like our kids are sitting on the front row with their hands lifted, worshiping, watching their mom and dad do this and trusting Jesus in these ways. So I had this clear vision, which really was like from the Lord for me, because I needed that to be like, this is propelling me forward to keep talking and to believe that our kids are part of this journey. They're not just gonna just hear about it and move on. They're invited into the mission that we're on to help people share your struggles openly because the enemy hates it, and to bring freedom to people through the freedom that is found in only Jesus. So they're on that mission, and I was just so clear of that. Like in that moment, I was like, yes, Lord, that is like what I want. Yeah. And I believe you're going to do that. And so that was kind of like setting all this up for a moment.
Absolutely.
With our kids.
And that built a lot of faith in both of us. Because when you came and told me that, what that did in me too was help solidify that the Lord was pleased with us doing this, and that he was, in the process of commissioning us towards it. Yep. Because I know that I've had fears too of like, what if our kids one day, and this still, it's all yet to be determined, but what if our kids one day are just like, I hate that you guys do this. I hate that you put your story on display, or I'm embarrassed that y'all are talking about these things, or, those are fears that I've had of like what could potentially happen. And that still might happen at some point. But I think what that vision that we believe that the Lord did give and even some affirmations from other people in your group that week at the intensive. Just really, I believe the Lord was showing us this is our family's mission.
Yeah.
And our kids are going to be okay.
Yes.
And he's got them. He cares about them. He sees them, and he's pulling them into mission as well. So
that's right.
Whatever happens along the journey, whether there are moments where they're embarrassed or like wish we weren't doing this, or we can trust like, okay, it's going to be okay. Like it's going to be okay. The Lord has us. He is doing what he wants to do. We are on mission, and we will be held. And
I would just encourage you listening, parents, like think about what the mission of your family is. Like God has a purpose for every family. Yes. Like we're all on mission to make Jesus known, make him famous, but don't miss that you're a unit doing that together. Yeah. That you have the greatest form of discipleship is the kids that are in your home right now.
Right.
So don't miss that this is not just a Jeff and Jourdan story. This is like, how is the Lord shaping your family to be on mission for him collectively as a unit? And then like actually pray to that end. Like, what is it that you want to do with us? And how can we, make Jesus famous in our family? Like, how can we do that?
And remembering too, when we want to even protect our kids from our own story, or is remembering that God in his sovereignty placed these children in this family with you and I, as we are with these stories. That was all knit together. That was all part of his purpose from the beginning. Yeah. And it's not like they have to like dodge things because of our story. This is their story too.
They're invited into it.
And so we don't need to be trying to protect them from us or from what our story is, because it is their story.
This is just what the enemy loves, because he wants to like be like, oh, your thing is too big for your kids, and that's what we speak against. Yes. No, like Jesus has brought freedom into our family and redeemed our family. That's right. And done miraculous things. Whether you can understand fully how that's happened for us, and if you have, but for us, yes, he has done that, and they are invited into that. And so we will collectively talk about what he's done.
That's right.
Which also began a process of us. Okay, so we decided this felt like a calling to do this, to talk about our story openly. And we knew doing that on a podcast format when we finally decided that, because we wanted people to hear our heart, see us in person, and know that we're not sitting here judging people. We're telling what God's done in our family and sharing our experience in hopes to bring freedom. And as we thought about that, we just knew what was coming was we would put this out on a public platform, and our kids at that point would have friends that our kids don't have phones. And we'll hold off as long as we can. I say they will get them when they're 18, maybe when they leave for college. But our other friends have phones, and so they're on, like, literally our kids' friends talk to them about following us on Instagram or saying something, So there was a thing of like, okay, our kids.
Well, we knew their parents.
And their parents were going to follow us.
Would see what we're doing and know about it.
And we were committed also. What we strongly believe in our family is that whenever we want our kids to hear everything first from us. We believe that the first
as much as we can help it.
Yeah, the first person that shares with your kid is what they're always going to remember. So that's about pornography or sex or our family, what we're doing. Like, we never want our kids hearing from others about, and maybe that will happen, but we do everything we can to try to fight that. So we knew that they were going to be maybe hear from their friends about this podcast that mom and dad were releasing. So which began just this whole process of, okay, when we had at the time, we had a 10 and an 8-year-old. That's how old they were when we were at about to launch, because which is crazy. It's been a year and a half. But like, they were very young, and we knew that we had to, we knew that the Lord was telling us, like, there's going to be a moment that you're going to share with them before you release this, because we wanted to be the ones to tell them, like, hey, this is our story. This is what we're going to talk about. Here's why we're going to talk about it. And that if you hear this from anyone else, like, you can always come to us and ask us questions, and we're the safe place. So because of that began this first step of just a lot of prayer, a praying of like, Lord, how should this go? Prepare the moment. How will you give us the words in the moment? I don't see the moment. I don't know when it's coming. You do. You see all things. Help us, guide us.
And you were praying specifically for a very like organic moment,
Yes.
that it would come up in a way where it didn't feel like you were just dropping a bomb,
Yes.
or like a formal sit down in the living room.
Yes.
Like you wanted
Oh
it
my
to
gosh.
happen in a very organic way.
Yes, because just so many memories of like trying to sit down in the awkward sex talk, like, hey, we're going to sit in the living room and like talk. But
Right.
it's instead of the one big conversation, I wanted the small ones, like all these small ones, to kind of be the culmination of our kids learning about this through us. So we started with prayer, and we were just so confident. And then as we moved closer to the launch of Open Spaces, as we were getting closer, the Lord was really kind in that, like, I truly, we just knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Like we both kind of were like,
You had a lot of confidence that it was
so much confidence
that it was going to happen as it should, and
Yeah.
that the Lord was going to open that door.
Yes. And I knew. I was like, yeah, I'm good. He's got it. Because we've been praying into it. So then then we just jumped to so I had taken the oldest two kids down to Passion Camp.
Yep.
Which is our church's big camp they do in the summer. And since I'm the worship pastor, I take our kids, like, and we've gone every year, but that year you stayed back with our youngest, Beacon, who was 4, because you just didn't want to be in the green room with Beacon.
Chasing him around the whole time. Yeah.
There would be no reason for you. Yeah. Okay. I digress. So yes, like, and so then I'm with the oldest two, and, we were, talks were like percolating around with our friends, like, oh, y'all are going to launch this thing coming up. And we still had 6 months. We didn't know that at the time, but until we launched, but we knew it was coming. And as it was coming, I, was in the car, and so now we're at the moment where I tell them, and we're driving back from Daytona, Florida to Atlanta, which is a couple hour drive. So we're in the car. We play the question game, which is like, and I just had this piece. I was like, I think it's literally because I've been praying into it, I think, but the Lord was real kind, and like, today's probably the day. And so as we're playing the question game, the question came up, which was just funny because it was like my son saying, Dad, tell us what a ladies' man you were in high school, and
Like, tell us about all your girlfriends.
Yeah, all your girlfriends. And so I was like, yeah.
So that's when like the record skips in your mind. You're like,
yeah. And even as you pray into it, and you like, even though you can prepare for a moment, it's still like, here we are. We have arrived in this moment. What is about to happen? So I tell the kids, I was not a ladies' man. I was actually not attracted to girls, and I was attracted to, and then I realized, like, they don't understand the word attraction.
Yeah.
So then I said, I liked boys more than I liked girls. And my view was messed up a little bit in like the way that the enemy had got me. So like, I was thinking that, boys were I was more interested in boys. And so I didn't really have any girlfriends, which then the next question. So did you ever kiss a boy? And I said, yes, I did. And then
and you can see their kind of shock in this.
Their shock, their face, their face changes. It gets very uncomfortable, but I'm pushing through the uncomfortableness. I'm like, we're going to keep moving through this on a healthy level. We're not diving, 1,000 feet deep. We're just going a little in, because this is going to be a lifetime of conversations. So I said the next question was, so why did you marry Mom? To which I got to then say, well, Jesus like gave me Mom as a miracle. Like I fell in love with Mom, and it wasn't like what I had planned, but I was following Jesus. And then like she came into my life. She's a miracle to me. And then I got to tell them what I always say, that y'all are all miracles. All 3 of my kids are miracles. Like without Jesus and without his mercy and grace, like I wouldn't have got to have a family. So like we're walking in a miraculous moment. And they were still processing in their faces, very like, okay.
Didn't one of them try to change the subject?
Oh, yeah. One of them tried to change the subject quickly, and I was like, and I said when they did, I just said, hey, this is not something to be afraid of. And I know it's very big and it feels very scary, but it's not something to be afraid of. And we don't have to talk about it long, but this is who I want you to know me.
Yeah.
And I want you to know who your dad is. And so this is part of knowing me. And then when I think like, maybe there were a couple other questions, but the next question that kind of like ended it was, tell us the names of the boys that you were interested in or kissed. And so that's where I just said, hey, we're not going to go. That's not. Let's wrap this conversation. And if you have more questions later, we can definitely talk about it.
Yeah. Because you knew that was going to kind of derail the main
and it's
point
like
of
those
the
are the
conversation.
details that like don't need to be discussed.
Yeah.
Like that's not helpful to them. So I kind of ended the conversation and kind of went back into, and I made a lighthearted joke like, so what's your favorite color? And just kind of jump back into the question game. So we, and telling them in that moment, then we came back to Atlanta. We got here, we met you and our youngest son, Beacon, for dinner.
And you had texted me to let me know. It was very brief without detail, but it was like, hey, just letting you know, I did have the conversation with Case and Aiden, so they now know my story, and I'm sure you'll have some questions. And so that's all the information I had when we met up at the restaurant. And sure enough, that night, they did have questions, and we told them before even recording today, we told them we're not going to share their process because we always want to respect them and their story and their process of finding their way within our family and within our story.
Yeah, we literally, just side note, I mean, let's say that again. Last night we had a conversation with them and said, this is what we're recording tomorrow, because they always ask what we're recording on the podcast. And we said, we want to respect you, and we're expecting you to say, are you okay if we talk about, we will not share your reactions, like in what you exactly said or like who said what.
Yeah. We're trying
essentially
we said we don't want to talk about your process, your personal process.
Yes. And we try, and they were so sweet of like, yeah, you can talk about it. Like if it's helpful to people, tell people, like,
but in general, they, I think it's important to know that there was some disappointment. Yeah. And that was in conversations with just me. Yeah. That some disappointment was expressed, and some concern for. It was really sweet because there was concern for the way that they viewed you, and they didn't want that to change. They didn't want to change how they saw you. And so I was able to talk to them about that and explain that you were the same man that you had always been, and the person that they know as their dad is the same today as he was yesterday. He is, you knowing those things about you did not change who you were. And they were, both with both of them, there were brief conversation kind of follow-ups, but what was beautiful was that it was clear that they felt safe to express what they felt. Yeah. I love that they came back. We were both very grateful for that.
This is parenting, because you come back and as bad as I want them just to process everything with me, they needed Jourdan to like process and like have a moment with her, which I think was great in their process.
Yeah. And it was, I think for both situations, I think, when they were talking to you, when they were talking to me, it was brief. It wasn't, super in depth, but it was important, and it was significant, and the seeds were planted, and we're very grateful for that. And, then that was a hard night. It was hard for you.
And then they went to bed, and now we can talk about me. I'm saying I'll share. As you and I got in our bed, and I just like cried, started crying. And that moment was one of the pivotal moments, because for me, and if you're a parent sharing your biggest struggle with your kids, it is this thing of you are going from a superhero to them to becoming human. and they see you in a different way because now they've only known you as their protector, provider, like the superhero. So now they're like, oh, Dad's human.
Yep.
And the way that the enemy would have liked to have messed with me was like, I just broke something in our family, even though I had prayed and like knew the moment and felt the Lord in it. What was beautiful is that night you, like, while I'm crying, just arm around me saying, you didn't break anything. You only strengthened our family tonight. And that I needed your affirmation to feel like we're in it together, to feel like you approve of what I just did. That I needed those words.
Yeah.
And that was a very pivotal night for me.
Well, it was important because even in that moment, I flashed back to my own childhood, and we'll talk about this in the podcast with my dad, but when he shared something hard with us as kids, and I remember that moment as even thinking through like as a teenager and then moving on into adulthood. I remember that moment more as not a disappointment, but as a like fortifying moment with my dad, where I believed like, okay, you're going to tell me the truth. You're going to tell me what's real, and I can trust you. And you are going, even when it's hard, you're going to tell me the truth. And so I wanted you to know that, because I believe that for our kids too. I believe that they will. That was a fortifying moment for them, and that they will now have seeds planted that will continue to grow, that will show them like that they can trust you, that when they ask you a question, when they ask you about yourself or your past or anything, that you're going to be real with them. And that is something that we absolutely want as a hallmark of our family.
We do not want fear leading the conversation. And even my own experience, now that both my parents have passed, like I wish I knew so much more about them. I genuinely wish like they would have shared more with me on the hard things, because then I feel like I would be more connected to knowing a lot of our family history and things. And, but yeah, like it was a beautiful night. We, moved on from that, and we just carried on in life. And like kids, they're resilient.
Absolutely.
They just move on. And like
there were like no follow-up questions the next day.
Literally, like I asked the next day, I was like, hey, did you have anything that you were thinking or processing? They're like, no.
We're good.
We're good.
But what was cool, and this was the kindness of God, is like, I think a week later, we had...
Yes, that is very cool.
We had a special like gathering at our church, and Jackie Hill Perry came and spoke at our church, and she shared her story. And for anyone who does not happen to know Jackie Hill Perry's story, before she was saved, she was living a lesbian lifestyle. And when she was saved, she was radically saved. And she talks about, the way she shares her story, I would never do justice to, but
oh my gosh,
she talks about it in a very, normalized way, and with the gospel threaded throughout, but just, talks about all of our sin and struggle. And it's very beautiful, but church was packed that night. Everybody loves Jackie. And so that our kids had gone to like the kids programming for the night, but afterwards we went out to eat, and we're sitting there talking, and I think one of them asked, how was church tonight? And we were like, it was awesome. And we said,
they were like, why is it so packed?
We were like, Jackie Hill Perry came and spoke, and she shared her story. And I was like, it's really cool. She has a story of of living a gay lifestyle and Jesus saving her. And now she's married to a man and has kids. And one of the kids was like, oh, Dad, kind of like your story.
Yeah.
And so it was like immediate.
They said, he used to be gay like you. And I was kind of like,
maybe we wouldn't say it like that.
I was caught off guard though. But I quickly changed my face. It was like normalizing. Yeah.
It was immediately normalized in someone else's story. And that was so kind of God, to help our kids just immediately see like, okay, it's not like my dad is this singled out, like weird person over here.
Yeah.
This could be a common thing. So that was really cool.
We also just keep it moving forward. We there's been moments of, launching the podcast was like, then we, maybe little moments along the way that things came up, But then launching the podcast, something that was really amazing because we want the kids invited into this. Like the night before we launched that in February of last year, we had a moment in our living room when, we were throwing our life out there, felt some nerves, felt some, what are we doing? We trust God. So we shared that with the kids. And we had this moment of sitting down with the kids and saying, we trust God with what we're doing with our life. And we believe Jesus has our family on a mission. But tomorrow we're about to tell a lot of people our story that we don't know, and there could be different opinions and thoughts. And so we're just wanting to pray into that. And we also believe that Jesus is going to use open spaces to help people and break chains off people and bring freedom. So we want y'all to know that's what we're doing tomorrow. It's a big day for mom and dad. And we want to pray into that. And I asked the kids to pray for that and just to invite them into the mission. And it was just unbelievable.
It was so
like
beautiful.
Having our kids pray, like specifically
just to hear their authentic prayers that they were asking for.
Yes, to ask that God would use open spaces to save people and help people and point people to Jesus. That moment was like a pivotal marker of okay, like God, you got us. So even when we launched, it was like, I'm good. Our family's solid. Jesus is the rock that we stand on. The enemy can't do it. He can't do what he wants to do with us.
Yeah.
So I just felt like we were fortifying something that was like really sweet.
Yes.
And that continued. And then what's been amazing is like now that the kids, we're sitting in our living room with podcast equipment stuff set up a lot and having people over to record, and our kids are invited in that process now. So like, we'll be like, what are y'all doing tomorrow? And we're going to record this podcast. Oh, what's it about? And again, we don't shy back from what it's about because there's a chance that our kids could listen. And I mean, they don't have devices, but like one day they will. And I've loved that we've just been like, oh, tomorrow we're talking about teaching your kids about pornography. And we've had those conversations with them, what those things are. So it's not a surprise to them, but like, they're just like, oh, what are y'all talking specifically about? And so I just love that they are in it with us, and they want to do their own podcast called Tiny Spaces.
Yes.
I'm like, we'll get there. But it's been so amazing how the Lord has
One funny thing after we launched the podcast, shortly after we launched, one of the kids came home and said that their teacher had mentioned I listened to your parents' podcast on the way to school. And that was just one of those moments where oh, okay. You just kind of have the face of the people listening to it where you're like, I know we're putting it out there for everybody, but then when it's like your kid's teacher is listening to it, it's like, oh, okay. Yes. Got it. But what's funny is I think it was Aiden was telling us one of the teachers at school had said that. And then Case was like, well, did she say anything else? That sure is an interesting podcast.
Your parents have an interesting story.
It was very funny though.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been great. It's been awesome for them to know and to be able to feel like that the conversation is open and it's ongoing. And I think that's what we would encourage, is, most people aren't going to be sharing their story on a public platform, but regardless of how your story is, that is your testimony. That is, we are literally called to share the story of how God has redeemed us and restored us. And so
by the blood of the Lamb and the word of your testimony,
that's how we overcome. And so, so as you do that, be encouraged that it doesn't you don't have to say everything in the first sitting. And we can be, we can be continually unpacking it as their ages are more appropriate and that they can have more understanding.
And it is interesting too, our 6-year-old, he's still not in it.
Right.
He still doesn't know because we didn't feel like that was appropriate. So there is a little bit of dynamics of it's never been a thing. It's never been weird. But we still have a whole nother journey to enter.
Yeah. And one day we'll say, hey, buddy, that podcast we do? Here's what we're talking about.
Oh, he's playing with Legos around us, and all the other kids are asking deep questions.
I guess tune in again when we have to.
We'll do another episode.
Talk about it in a different way, but it is it's an ongoing conversation.
Yeah, I want to say to the parent that is listening, we've shared, that's been our experience, our story, But I think there's like, we're categorizing 5 different ways to think about this. So I think if you're carrying something and you think like, this is something really big that I have to tell my kids, or like you feel the weight of that, I just want to speak overall. Do not let the enemy speak shame. And, that's what he wants to do. He wants to silence you, speak shame. Oh, Jesus has redeemed those things. If you've taken it to the cross, then it's redeemed, and you don't have to walk in that shame anymore. So that's just, don't listen to the enemy in that. Jesus has your family also. Jesus is taking care of your family. He has y'all. He sees how it's all going to unfold. So trust him with your life. But I think there's a couple ways that we've kind of like, as we've shared today, some takeaways. I think number 1 would be pray into how you would tell your kids. Begin that journey. Just, that's between you and the Lord, you and your spouse and the Lord. Like, pray. Ask God, how would this go in my family, and pray for protection over your kids as you share, whether that's tomorrow or in years to come, however that's going to look. I think prayer is where it really begins.
Absolutely.
And kind of figuring that out for you. I think your next thing is keep your eyes open to the moment. Like for me, I had to constantly be aware. Lord, is this the time? Is this the moment? Is this where I'm supposed to enter here? And I was eyes up, aware, ready to enter the conversation when he would have me enter that, which was that day in the car. Like, that's when it actually happened for me. Keep it high level is another thing that we would say, because I think like you don't want to get to, this is a lifetime of conversations to come. And when your kids start asking maybe detailed questions of your sinful past, maybe just kind of end it and just to be like, I've given you this much today. Yeah. There's going to be tomorrow. We're living life together. We're on a journey together. Like, keep moving with a high level, like when you first share the thing. Yeah. I think allowing the space then to process for them, whether that's with the spouse that hasn't shared or whatever that looks like, but just allowing space, like knowing that there's got to be space for them to process that, and just asking questions. And if they have none, or if they shut it down because they're kids, great, like move on. Don't press into it too much. I think that we can overthink things sometimes as parents, and kids have such a limited capacity with that. And then the 5th thing I would say is just normalize bringing them into your life. Again, I think that I wish, for me, I wish that my parents would have shared more, because I would have like known them more. And I that's just my wiring. Like, I want to know, who I'm with and the vulnerability, but just normalize bringing your kids into your life's journey and your process.
And I would say too, for the person in the family, like for me, I don't have the type of sexual brokenness that you do in your past, but I have my own version and I have my own struggles. And so it becomes important for me now, as your partner and as the other, parent in the home, to normalize my struggles and to be able to say, we all have struggles. So that's, one of Dad's, by the way, that's not your only struggle in life. And so,
what do you mean?
I'm not trying to call you out, but
if you had to say another one,
but I gotta be like,
your money, is it?
Well, and I have to choose to be honest with my own struggles, and with helping normalize all of it, and my sin. And when I speak to them, in an unkind way, when I am obsessed with the way that people think about me, I need to normalize that too. And so it's not just like this spotlight on you and your
that's good. It's not the
sinful
big
past.
Massive thing that we feel, but
because that's also how we want our kids to understand the fall and sin, and that we all carry temptation. And we have to work together in that too to help normalize.
I want to end just kind of like relating to parents, and like one thing that we had never talked through all of this, but it's very important, is the community that which we walk in.
Absolutely.
And we had people praying with us. Like, we literally had a whole text leading into the launch of Open Spaces, a prayer text of people who, whatever we needed, they would pray. And it was awesome. And so, I just want to relate to the humanity of the listener right now, like that it is so hard. It is so hard to do this, and it's not easy, and it's like, it sucks because sin sucks.
Yes.
And it's not the way that it was meant to be.
Right.
But the night that I shared with the kids, like, this is like what I sent our community of people, and I'll read this and then to kind of wrap today. But this is just how it felt. And I found this morning, and I was like, oh, this is so raw and real for me. But it says, "Hey fam, wanted to share that we had a pivotal day yesterday with our immediate family, with the opportunity arising and me sharing with Case and Aiden the beginning of what will be a lifelong journey of them understanding my struggle. With the plan of us releasing the podcast and people talking, we have been praying so much and had our eyes open to when the moment would present itself. We would not have moved forward with sharing our story with the masses until our kids knew, so it was a pivotal step for us. On the drive back from Daytona yesterday, it was just me and the two of them. We played the question game in our family a lot on road trips to get to know each other better and take turns asking questions. One of the kids' questions was, Dad, tell us all about how many girlfriends you had. And so I go through this whole thing. I kept it brief, high level, but did tell them that my attraction was not to women, but to men. And I explained that Jourdan was a miracle in my life, that me falling in love with her was God's plan, that they are two of the miracles in my life also because I didn't ever think I'd be married or have kids. As you can imagine, there was a shock and an uncomfortableness that followed, but because of all the prayer and confidence of God's vision that he's given me in our future, I knew that it was right. In all honesty, in my humanity, I will say that I have cried since and begged God to preserve our family and for them not to see me different. None of our past failures would ever be fun to share with our kids, but this one just hits big for me. After discussing it for a few moments, we moved on. It was uncomfortable, it was hard, it was necessary. They did ask if my parents knew and led me to tell them. That's another thing that we didn't talk about. But so then I say, Jourdan and I had a great time to talk about it, cry together. She was amazing, encouraging me, and that nothing had been broken, that it had actually all been strengthened. So I'm really asking for prayer today and the days to come. We're committed to vulnerability, authenticity, and truth, and being a light in the darkness to the story that God has entrusted us with. We are realizing that begins in our immediate family right now, the breeding ground for all that God is going to do. The five of us are on a mission together to break the chains that this struggle has on God's people. And then I went in to ask for specific prayer. But that's just a prayer a text that I sent, just to reach out to our people and say, we need you. This is what happened. We don't want to feel alone in this. And so it was an invitation to bring others in. And then the amount of text back and the prayer that happened after that was amazing. A lot of tears, just crying, just like, it's not you're crying over, the sin has been forgiven. Right. And my past has been forgiven. And all my choices that I chose are forgiven. They've been taken to the cross, so it's redeemed. And I'm not living in that. But the tears come from just like, you don't want to you'd never want your kids to feel like, oh, Dad's not as great as I thought he was. So I relate to specifically you dads who are carrying something. Be honest with your family. Build a legacy with your family. It's worth it. Absolutely. It's really, really going to be worth it in the end, as hard as it might be. So.
Well, thank you all so much for journeying along with us in this parenting series. And thank you for sharing today too. Just going back to that spot that was hard, but so beautiful and so redemptive. And so we will be back for more of our parenting series next week. And we're just grateful that you're on the journey with us. So we'll see you next time on Open Spaces.